Welcome back to Beyond the Scarlet Moon, where the forgotten souls and eerie shadows of horror tales come to life. Tonight, we're unraveling the tragic and sinister story of another ghost from 13 Ghosts, the Torso, also known as Jimmy the Gambler Gambino. Jimmy Gambino wasn't just any gambler. His life began on a path paved by misfortune and dark choices. Growing up in the early 1900s, Jimmy was the son of a compulsive gambler, a man who spent every last cent at the horse tracks, leaving little behind for his family. With a father who gambled away everything, Jimmy learned early on that luck could either be your best friend or your worst enemy. But unlike most people who run from misfortune, Jimmy was drawn to it, craving the thrill, the danger, and most of all, the promise of big wins. Jimmy's passion for gambling grew, feeding an insatiable greed. By the time he was a young man, he had clawed his way to owning his own casino. He had money, power, and status. To those around him, he was the gambler. But to Jimmy, that title came with a cost. His greed didn't go unnoticed, especially by those in the criminal underworld. When the match ended, so did Jimmy's luck. He lost everything in one night, a crushing defeat he couldn't afford. Realizing the dangerous position he was in, Jimmy tried to escape, but the mafia, they don't forgive and they certainly don't forget. Jimmy's attempt to flee was short-lived. He was found, cornered, and dragged back to face his fate. In a brutal and merciless act, the mafia and the very boxer he had bet on made an example of him. Jimmy Gambino was cut into pieces, his torso separated from his head, his remains bound in cellophane. It was a message, a brutal reminder of what happens when you cross the mob. After his body was dumped into the dark, cold waters, Jimmy didn't find peace. Instead, he became trapped in a new existence, one of agony and horror. As the Torso, Jimmy's spirit is incomplete, his head severed from his body, yet lying nearby, forever screaming in eternal despair. His bound torso is a ghastly reminder of the greed and ruthless ambition that ultimately led to his demise. Unlike some of the other spirits in 13 Ghosts, the Torso doesn't lash out. He is more a neutral presence than an actively hostile one, as if the pain of his violent end has consumed any urge to harm others. Perhaps in death, Jimmy finally realized the true cost of his greed. Or maybe he simply wanders in endless agony, cursed to relive that fateful night over and over again. To see Jimmy Gambino's ghost is to witness a tragedy that transcends death itself. His torso, wrapped and bound as it was in life, is a vision straight from the depths of horror. A reminder of what happens when ambition leads you down a path from which there is no return. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey into the story of the torso. For more haunted tales and sinister stories, don't forget to subscribe to Beyond the Scarlet Moon. And remember, not all spirits find peace. Some are bound by the very sins they embraced in life.